I hope we're all doing really good today. My lips are chapped looking. Okay. I wasn't gonna put lipstick on, but I look in the mirror. I'm just gonna pop on some Laneige Lip Glowy Balm in Berry because it looks like I need it. Just to at least get rid of the crust. Story of my life. You guys probably know I like chew on my lips, and I do that a lot. It's embarrassing because I think I look like I make a stupid face when I do that, but I didn't know I did it for most of my life, so how am I supposed to stop it now? Anyways, this video is actually not about me. It's about this Morphe eyeshadow palette. So this is the Morphe, it says down here, Morphe, the Morphe 3503 Fierce by Nature palette, and I thought it would be fun and relaxing for me to swatch the palette. I've talked about this palette a lot. I use it quite often. It's one of my favorites. I do have it on my eyes today. Well, just this shade is Anastasia Beverly Hills Pigment Daiquiri or something. Also, my palette is covered in glue and foundation, and it just doesn't come clean. So, yeah, let's open her up. I lost the sheet, and that says all the names. So, yeah. I hope that was good enough. So, I think we're gonna just do. I think it's easier to go. Oops. I already swatched one. I think it'll just be easier to start here and go down just because it goes to black. You know what I mean? So I thought I would just kind of like swatch them and talk about it. I unfortunately don't have the little plastic thing they put in here with all the names because I find them really annoying. I've also just like never really overly made like a swatching video, so this could go terribly wrong. I think I'm gonna do it on my left arm. Except for my arm. How do people do this? Like that? I'm panicking. I didn't practice. Anyways, we're gonna put it on my left arm and go down. I am regretful for wearing a white t-shirt. Oh, that's fine. And I also have my little makeup eraser. So we're just gonna start with the first shade. I don't think it's really gonna show up on my skin tone. It's like this peachy shade. I really like Morphe mattes, so I'll just. Okay, I'm apparently pale enough that it shows up. Okay. So there's the first one. If you can kind of see, I feel like that's probably gonna be the hardest one to tell. But that's the first one. It's just a very light peachy yellow. It doesn't really do much for me on my eyes either. Like, I've worn it as like a whole look and it was really underwhelming. Alright, and then next is this light orange shade. It also is a little iffy. I think it's one of my least favorite formula-wise in the palette. It reminds me of the color of Some people call it a chartreuse. It's up for debate. I use this shade often, more often than you think. So it's just like this pretty green. I love this shade. I think it's really unique, and you can really build it up. You can see that. I feel like it looks a little paler on my arm, but you can really, really build it up. And it's got like a gold shimmer in it. It's one of my favorites. I wear this in my inner corner often. If you've ever seen me with like a light green inner corner, just a little inner corner moment, it's this shade out of this palette. I absolutely, chef's kiss. I love it. I love it. And then the rest of the rows are just browns. So after that one, we have like more of a caramelly light brown, caramelly camo. Sometimes these can get like really stuck together, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is a warm brown, like a caramelly brown. It's just right there. It's really pretty. Let's see if I can build it up. Yeah, that's more. Maybe I should be doing it on this side of my arm better. Maybe that's why people do that. But yeah, this one's really pretty. It's just a matte, obviously. It's really easy to just throw this on the eye and go, in my personal opinion. So yeah. The second last shade in this row is a cooler brown, but it's still got warm tints to it. It could be like a good bronzer contour shade, depending on the shade you are. Obviously, you'd have to be quite pale to make it work, but I think it would really, really work. I don't know if you can see that, but it's very pretty. I've actually worn this shade. It's one of my go-tos. Right there. One of my go-tos. For just like a quick brown smoky eye. Like when I want to wear shadow. When I want to wear shadow. But I don't really have time to think about it, and I just want it to like match whatever I'm gonna throw on. So it's actually a go-to shade for me. Because it's not entirely cool. It's a cool warm, but it is on the cooler side of browns. And then the very last shade is another brown that's also a matte, and it's very orangey brown. I also gravitate towards this shade a lot. If you can see that, there is a fuzz on my finger. If you can see that, I really enjoy this shade a lot as well. Sorry, I moved it over. No, that's in the wrong direction. I'm so sorry. How calming is my chaotic energy? But basically, if you can see any of that, it's very pretty. If this was just a palette on its own, I think it would sell quite well. So let's wipe that off. My pale little skin is getting stained. I should have expected that. Okay, so we're moving on to this row here, which has a couple more shimmers. Or no, I guess it's only two, but they're just in different spots. And it's similar, but I feel like it's a bit richer, and the shimmers are obviously in different places. So we're gonna start over here with this coral shade. This is the shade that's on my eyes right now. I also have used this as a blush, so it's just like that's the shade. I'm gonna try to put it here. Yeah, there we go. I've used this as a blush a bunch of times. It's my most used shade in this palette, I would say. It can be really light, or you can really build it up. You just have to basically keep pressing it on. It's very stunning. Just like a light pinky coral. But it definitely has like some pigment in it. It's not like a pastel. It's got pigment, as you can probably tell. So there's a difference when they're swatched. This one's definitely more of a yellowy orange, and this is more of a reddy orange, but it's super hard to tell in the palette, and I think it's weird the way that they put them together. And in reality, this shade here and this shade are much closer together, but basically it's a matte brown, and if you didn't have them, they weren't in there, you probably wouldn't even know that you were missing it. But that's just kind of my opinion. It's something, I keep saying and I'm embarrassed. It's something that you have to definitely consider when you're investing in a Morphe palette. If you do need so many different shades of the same color, basically. Okay, now let's do that green. Now this green is stunning. It's a stunning shade, but its pigmentation is a little bit iffy. It's kind of like reminds me of like the green of a jelly bean, or like Christmas, like a light Christmas green, not an evergreen obviously, but like light Christmas green. It's not the greatest green, but it's kind of like this shade of green can be a little bit hard to formulate, but it's a matte and it's really pretty on the eyes as well. Like, no complaints about that. I just do, however, I don't overly agree that this green and this green make an eye look. Unless you're doing a cut crease, like a green cut crease, maybe. But I think it should have been the matte version of this, or a much darker version. I just feel like they're different. Like the lighter green's cooler, and that darker green is much warmer. And I feel like that was potentially a mistake to make a cohesive look, especially in a palette so big that they could have added more greens. They didn't need as many pinks, I feel. But that's just me being picky, and like, I could have done it differently, but I obviously don't make makeup and I just use it. So yeah, let's move on to the last two shades. They're both shimmer shades. The first one is a brown. I would say that it's more of a bronzy gold, and I've used this quite often. So it's just like that. It's so stunning. I've used this actually quite often. I don't know what the visuals are like in this video, but that's what happens when you do something for the first time. Anyways, I really, really love this shade. It's so stunning. And I think it would look really good on like a neutral eye look on a darker person. For me, it's like a dark look, but I think it could really just look really stunning and bright on someone with darker skin. So it's very pretty, and it's got gold and like bronzy shimmers in it, and it's more of like a warmer undertone. I prefer warmer undertones, especially in golds. I don't particularly like yellowy pale golds. For my eye looks at least, I like more of a rich orangey brown gold. Okay, and last but not least in this row is an orange shimmer. This is really pretty. It's very smooth to the touch, and it's just a really good formulated shadow, honestly. I would say it's a pretty pure orange. It's really pretty. I've used it a lot as just like an inner corner color. That's my favorite thing I've used for. Yeah, I haven't overly used it like all over the lid before. I'm not really sure why. It's just never struck me as that. But anyways, here's that second row. I would definitely say that these shimmers in this row are way better than that green and that first like weird gold. Alright, so let's move on to the middle row, which is this one with the two red shimmers, some oranges, some pinks, and this is actually actually some of my favorite reds ever, especially this first one, but it's more of like a bright orangey red, so I think that's maybe why it was a little easier to formulate. It's very smooth, like it's very, very nice. That's the fallout. See, like that is stunning. When I just love it. It's a bright orangey red. It's one of my favorite eyeshadows I've ever used. I use it quite often when I do like just a whole red eye. I actually use the red pigment from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina, I think I have volume 3 palette. That's the matte I'll use in my crease, and then I'll put this shade on, and it's really, it's stunning, and the formula is really good. So yeah, that's the first shade. Then we have a much darker, richer orange, and it's also a matte. I use this quite often as well. So it's just like that. The best way to definitely describe this shade is matte Cheeto. So yeah, there we go. It's really pretty. You can build it up quite a bit. It's very pigmented for like a neon-y orange. I think it definitely is on the precipice of a neon. It could be in like a neon pressed pigment thing. You do have to build it up more than like a neon pigment, but I feel like it's on its way. It's like a morph of that, and it's getting there. So yes, third color in this palette is like this. It's like a reddy pink, but it's a very hot reddy pink. I don't use it often. I'm just like not into shades like this. So that's what it looks like. It would be really good for Valentine's Day. See, it's like a red, but it's too pinky for me. It's just, yeah, it's matte. It's just not a shade that I gravitate towards. So I don't really have much to say about it. I think I maybe used it on my eye like one time for like a Valentine's Day look or like a special effects look. I'm not even sure. So yeah, there's that one. Up next is the glitter, and I don't think I'm gonna put it on my arm. I might just put it on like this finger, because otherwise I'm gonna get glitter all over the place. So like you saw, it's just like a bronze, and it is pretty. It's pretty. Maybe here, I'll put it right here. It's pretty, and it does like really stick, if you can tell. I just have no interest in it at all. I just don't. I don't know what to tell you on that. Just not interested, which I feel like is fine. Like I'm allowed to not be interested in it, and I'm afraid it's gonna fall all over my face, and I'm not interested. Okay. Up next is another pinky shade. It's a matte. I don't think. No, I have literally never used this. It's a hot pink, and I'm just not. Pink eyeshadow probably looks good on me, and I just don't realize it. But there's some fallout there. Like I was saying, pink eyeshadow probably like looks good on me. It's just I don't like it. I don't like pink very much. Sorry if that makes anyone upset. I just don't. It's not my color. I'm not interested, but it does seem pretty comparable to like the orange mattes that I have used and I do love. So that's that. Up next is another orange, but I would say that it's much more of a pastel-y orange, not quite so neon. I've also used this shade quite a bit, and I've tried it as a blush once for a look. So there, it's just a matte as well. It is really pretty. So see, it's just like a little bit more of a darker, like genuine. Well, I'd say it's more of like a tangerine, but it's quite pretty in my opinion. I use it often, like I said. It's just stunning. I've used it a few times, but it's sometimes I just don't feel it. I either really want like a neon, like pastel-y color or whatever, but yeah. And last but not least, we have another red shimmer. This one's interesting because it has like red and gold shimmer, and it's a lot darker than this shade. I don't really know what it's supposed to match in the palette, but I would say it's like chunkier as well. My finger's like starting to get stained orange, so I feel like everything just like is blending in, but it's really pretty. Yeah, it has like genuine gold shimmer in it. Like it's a lot chunkier. It's really pretty and it's very smooth and I enjoy it a lot. That's about it. I just like haven't really worn it on the eyes a lot. It's a bit dark, and I'm either wearing like a bright color, like a bright light color, or it's like dark brown, so yeah. We might have to go back to me doing it awkwardly, maybe right here. So we are on the second last row, and this is really where the color story of the palette changes. It's got more purples, darker reds, and some darker browns. I don't overly use these last two rows too much, except for maybe these, and I do use these two browns, but not a lot of this part gets used, but it does come in handy. So we're gonna start over here by this brown. These actually, before I start, these two browns I usually mix together and interchange them, and I don't know the difference, so I like them both. I love a good rich chocolatey matte brown. You honestly just like can't get enough of it, so let's just start with that brown. It's, yeah, literally just a matte brown. Let's do it right here, just because it needs to look good. Yeah, so it's like it's warm for sure, and it's dark, and you can build it up quite a bit. I don't think I have to. When browns are like, usually browns look like they do in the pan and the face, so not much of a deal there. The second shade in this is a shimmery shade, but it's this strange like magenta purpley red color. I think I used it once, and it doesn't feel as soft as the others. I mean, it's like a pretty, it has like also like like a purple in it, so it like swatches nicely and everything. I just don't particularly gravitate towards it. It's just not my shade, but it is pretty, and if I had the opportunity to use it on someone else, I probably would go towards it, just not for me. Okay, the third shade is a really pretty color. I actually use this the most, apart from the brown, the first brown in this row. It's a rich, reddy brown. I would say, like, describe it as like a light black cherry wood, or like something like that. Like, it's like a warm wood color to me, but like a dark wood, and it's matte, and it's very, very pretty. All of these shades are kind of like clumping up on my finger, which is getting annoying. Okay, so it's like that, and it's very pretty. Like, it's very cocoa-esque, but like like a reddy cocoa. It's very pretty, and no issues blending that or anything. Like, I've used it a few times. The one time I did like make this and I look together, and I'm sure you're thinking, okay, like, I saw how you got there, but I didn't overly like it. It was one of those days where I did my makeup trying to be different, and then I got like a bunch of compliments on it, and I was so confused because I didn't like it, but I had to leave the house. Anyways, shade number 4 is a shimmer, and it's more of a bronze, coppery bronze, but in a dark way. I don't know if I've used this. It looks like this. I'm sure I've like swatched it a basically I've seen like 1 or 2 shades that fit my aesthetic in my head. So I'm very picky about those, but it's nice. I just don't think I've really used it a lot. Okay, and shade number 5 is another shimmer. It's similar to this reddy brown family, a lot more red, I would say. And it doesn't really have much. It's just kind of like a red shimmer. It's pretty, but it's kind of dark. Like it reminds me for some reason like Vampira. So it is pretty. I have like no qualms, no quarrels. It's just not a shade I've overly used, but she's pretty. I don't hate her. I just had no need for her. Okay, and the last 2 shades in this row are purples that there's just, I know I haven't swatched. I know I'm never gonna use. I don't do purple eyeshadow unless it's pastel lavender. Otherwise, I'm just not into it. I don't think it goes good with my skin tone, my eyes. I've just never enjoyed it, but I will obviously swatch. So this is like a matte purple. Oh my gosh. It's like a grape, and like it's not really, it doesn't look good. It's like a grapey wine color. Oh, got some fallout there. Yeah, like I'm a purple hater. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's just I have 0 use for it. And this was like warm purple, and the last shade is like an eggplanty cool purple, which it's very dark, and I would have absolutely 0 use for a shade like this unless it came to bruising and like special effects. But I have other shades. Oh, I've literally never swatched this, but it's swatched really good so far. But you can kind of see it's just like a dark purple, and it's pretty. I would probably have more use for this purple than this purple, because if you used the right colors, you could really use this to like smoke something out, and it would look like more of a black and less of a purple, you know? My makeup eraser is turned rainbowy. Oh my gosh, look at my arm. Okay, my arm is red and sparkly, but thankfully we're on to the last row. So the very last row is very dark. I do use these 3 colors a lot, and this brown as well, because like I said, I kind of interchange these 2 browns. There's like a purple, there's 2 shimmers. I think I've used these shimmers before. They seem up my alley, so we're just gonna start over here with this brown, and I'm gonna swatch here again, although it's kind of red. These are all really dark colors, so I don't think we're gonna have like an issue with not seeing it show up, you know. So let's do this matte brown. It's a lot chocolatier than the one above it, but they're very similar shades. I think they're the same color, different shades, if that makes sense. I've dropped so much shadow because they kind of clump up together. Sorry if there's been a lot of cuts. I've been like cleaning it up so I don't get it on my white shirt. But I do like the darker one a little better, but I just usually mix them together to get the color I want. It was a really bad swatch, but I really, really like this shade. I use it often. When in doubt, I go in with those browns, like literally like panic. I'm just like, okay, brown. And then the next shade is this weird matte purple magenta color that's supposed to match that weird purple magenta red shimmer that's above it. I feel like I maybe used this once, and I think I hated it. It's just not really my cup of tea. So that's the shade. Okay. Oh, it actually swatched not too bad. But I don't like it. That's all I have to say. It seems like it's gonna blend nicely, but it's just not something I'm into at all. I have a very specific color palette, as you've probably like been able to tell over there's like still, look at that. That's really good. It's so stunning. It's got like, yeah, it's got a little gold in it, I think, but it's very light. It's mostly just like the brown shimmer in it, which I really enjoy. And the shade after it is beautiful as well. It's also a shimmer, and it's this dark, teetering on cool brown, but it's still got some warmth in it. It's kind of like a brownie, and oh, I have used this shade before because it is stunning. I love this shade. Like, look at that. When you want like a dark, smoky moment, this is the one. It's not as pigmented. Well, I'd say it's probably as pigmented as the one above, but these shimmers in this palette are really good for, in my opinion, Morphe standards, but this is the newest Morphe palette I have, so I don't really know if it's even better now or what's up. Okay, so the third last shade is a matte that's very similar to this, dark cocoa-y brown, kind of cool, but still definitely warm. I have used this a few times. It does look like not like it's gonna swatch well, but it's very dark, so a little, it does go a long way. So, oh yeah, they really match quite well. Quite well. I would say this is a little cooler, a little more on the taupey side than this, but I feel like I've made this eye look before. I feel like I have. It's very, very pretty. The second last color is definitely just a darker version of that, and it's almost a black, but it's still brown, also matte. Definitely like reminds me of dirt, but it's very pretty, and I've used this for various things. It is a little bit hard to swatch, but with really dark colors like this, you don't want them to be too pigmented, otherwise things go from okay to terrible very, very, very quickly. And the very last shade is just a matte black, and you can never have too many matte black shadows, so let's just swatch it. The swatch is decent. It's not like the blackest black ever, but I don't mind that in a black eyeshadow, because like I said, oh yeah, that's not bad for black, and you don't want it to be like super, super, super pigmented. So that's the last row. I definitely feel like this weird pink does not go with it, but it goes